Hey, so I have this new bareMinerals foundation that just launched, and this one is called the Original Liquid Mineral Foundation. What this foundation is supposed to be is basically a liquid version of their famous powder mineral foundation that I'm sure so many of us are familiar with and probably have used at some point or another. I have tried it out a few times now, I think at least 3 times, and of those times I've tried doing like half and half different primers and everything. So I feel like I have a pretty good idea about how I feel about this foundation, and I'm ready to share my review, my opinions, my thoughts, and tell you what's up and see if it's worth it for you, if this is something that you'd be interested in. That's what we're gonna be doing today. I'll be showing you like side-by-side comparisons, befores and afters, and the couple different times that I've tried doing it and what the finish looked like and everything, as well as a wear test so we can see how long this foundation lasts and all of that. By the way, if you are new to my channel, new to my face, my name is Ashley Ellix and I'm a cruelty-free beauty YouTuber here on the tube, posting beauty and lifestyle related videos 3 times a week. And if you want to get notified when I post more videos, just make sure your little red button is tapped down below that says subscribe, and then there's a little bell next to it. Go ahead and make sure that that is tapped too. That way YouTube is more likely to notify you when I get when I post more videos. But enough about all of that. If you are ready to dive into this new bareMinerals foundation and find out if it's something that will work for you or not so much, then you're in the right place, and all you need to do now is sit back, hang tight, and keep on watching. Boop! Okay, so first and foremost, I do want to point out one little thing about this foundation, just in case it's something that you like to avoid in your foundations and your skincare, because I was kind of taken aback by it for a couple of reasons. But this is not a completely oil-free foundation. When I was looking at the ingredients to make sure that I was pairing it with the right primers and everything, I actually jumped onto Ulta's site. That's usually just where I go first. I tend to do that. And I saw that on the claims it said oil-free, but then when I went to the ingredients right after sunscreen and water, there was this ingredient, and I'm totally gonna butcher the name of it, but it is called ethyl hexyl olivate. So I did a quick Google search and I saw that that's an actual derivative. It's like an olive oil ester, and it isn't oil-free. They describe it as like a silicone replacement. So instead of using silicones, you can use this. It's a more natural, healthy ingredient. But I thought that was kind of odd that Ulta had that claim on there. I went over and jumped onto bareMinerals site. bareMinerals actually doesn't say oil-free. They say it's mineral oil-free, which is a big difference in my opinion. And then even on the box, it says a mineral oil-free. So just be cautious if you're shopping at Ulta and it says oil-free. I don't know a lot about ingredients. I'm no scientist or chemist or whatever, but that doesn't seem oil-free. The olive oil derivative seems to still be an olive oil thing. So I just wanted to mention that because I know some of you try to avoid any kind of oils and olive oils in your skincare and foundation. Me personally, I don't have an issue with oils on my face at all, so I don't mind it, but I wanted to throw it out there because I think that's important. Now, another thing that I'm pretty disappointed in seeing is the shade range of this foundation is a little bit weird. I already feel like I'm seeing a lot of complaints for the shade range. I'm feeling like it kind of missed the mark. And the big reason really is that a lot of these foundations are pulling orange. So I'm probably losing you right now and you're like probably done. I don't know the entire shade range. All I have is this one that was sent to me. I was sent this foundation from Influencer and bareMinerals, by the way, complimentary for review purposes. I'm not required to post a YouTube video or anything like that, but I figured since I was sent it to review, I might as well do a review on YouTube, find out how it is, let you all know. So I was sent the shade Light 08. I didn't get to pick it. I probably picked it like on a survey or something, and I probably just picked the shade Light Neutral because I tend to be that across the board in all foundations. Well, after I swatched it, I was kind of surprised because you'll see in my swatch right here, it is very orange, and it's also kind of like a more medium tone. It's not what I would consider light at all. So I went over to the website and the description is a very light neutral base, which I completely disagree with. I feel like it's a medium orange tone base. So that's just one shade, right? I mean, one shade, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but is it? But is it one shade? Because I went over to the Influencer app, and if you're not familiar with Influencer, by the way, it's basically just like a reviewing site where you submit surveys and you try to get the opportunity to review different products, and if they pick you, you have to like review them on certain websites and stuff. Just your honest, fully honest, try it out experience. You don't have to be a YouTuber or anything to do that. I'm actually not even required to do this video. I just figured I was reviewing it, might as well share my thoughts and opinions. But anyways, on the influencer app, if you're included in a launch product, you can see different people's posts about how they're feeling about it, the questions everybody's asking. And I gotta say, while I usually try to stay away from other people's reviews so I don't get skewed at all, because I was seeing this weird issue with the shade range when I looked at the website, and this, I wanted to check out and see if I was the only one. Well, I see a lot of different shades that were given out, and a lot of people are complaining about the orange undertones that it's pulling and the fact that it just isn't very expansive. So the lightest shade is not very light. It seems like I actually would probably fit the lightest shade, which are the fairest ones, considered to be fair. And then the deepest shades, there just really isn't enough, and it doesn't go that deep. So it's disappointing to see bareMinerals launch another foundation that doesn't have the best shade range. I don't know if it's a mineral makeup thing that they just tend to pull orange. However, I have to say I love the bareMinerals Bare Pro foundation. That shade range not only is amazing and just like more true to its tones in the descriptions that it says, but that foundation just performs amazingly. So I really love the Bare Pro foundation. So I had high hopes for this one, and we're gonna talk about all of that now. So the first time I tried this on, I just grabbed what I would normally grab, using it in a way I would normally use, which is pretty much what I would do anytime I try out a new foundation, because I don't want to have to change my whole routine for a one foundation, right? So I tried it with my Good Molecules silicone-free priming moisturizer, and then I used like a little blurring primer around my nose area. That didn't go that well. Immediately I saw there was an issue with the tone, but usually concealer can help lighten it. So I just grabbed my lightest concealers, and it did. It looks a little bit weird. You'll see when I get to that part showing you the application, but I was able to lighten it up. So that was no big deal, but it just didn't settle onto my skin very nicely. And I found out later the culprit is the primers. So I decided I'm gonna try a different primer situation. So the second time I used this is when I found out that there was actually an oil base to this foundation, and I need to pair it with an oil if I'm gonna use a primer at all. So I applied on one side of my face the Milani Green Goddess oil, which is obviously a facial oil. And on the other side of my face, this is an oil-based type of product too. It's the Milani Green Goddess sleeping mask and primer. So you can use this as a sleep mask, go to bed with it for hydration, or you can use it as face primer. Usually works awesome to blur out pores and helps makeup stick and go on smoothly. Really nice. So I did that half and half, one side each. Now showing you what that looks like with all the topping products and everything with concealer and stuff to help lighten it. I feel like my skin just looks really powdery, really ashy. And again, I don't know if that's a mineral thing. The Bare Pro doesn't do that to me, but this one, it's just looking a little dull, a little ashy, a little powdery. So I wanted to give it one more shot today, one more chance to change my mind. And maybe that's frustrating, you know, to have to try different things, but I've actually fallen in love with foundations once I found the proper pairing. So I wanted to give this another chance today. So I did a little bit more research, and I saw that bareMinerals actually recommends just like your skincare. I mean, it says their skincare, but I just decided to go with my skincare. So first I applied all my skincare, my sunscreen, all of that, and then I went in with this foundation. Now you'll see it going on. You guys, the shade is, just try to ignore the shade because it is not my right shade match whatsoever. But this is what I would have picked if I picked it up online, so I think it's important to show you guys. And also, don't worry, we're gonna lighten it with concealer. So I blended 2 pumps of that with the brush that they actually recommended, and I used a brush on all the days, but I figured let's give it the best chance. So I used it with the bareMinerals Smoothing Face Foundation brush, which I already had on hand, and I felt like it applied really nicely this way. I think that by not using a primer, it actually made it look so much glowier on my skin, and it did seem to stick really well onto my skin. So I feel like if you're gonna go with this foundation, don't even bother with a primer. Just use your regular skincare routine, and then you can use a brush. It does mention several times that you can use your fingers with this, so I almost feel like maybe just do that. I really don't like using my fingers if I don't have to, so I try to avoid it at all costs. But if you're more of a fingers using type of foundation applier, then this one seems to be geared towards you. And then as far as coverage goes, I feel like it's a medium coverage, and I can build it up a tiny bit, but what they recommend doing is not building it up with the brush. It actually recommends building a little bit more up with your fingertips, which I've never seen that before. So reading descriptions and how-tos and the best way of using for foundations can sometimes be key, and that's very, very accurate. for this foundation. Just go in with the way that they recommend, minus you don't have to use their exact skincare. Use whatever you're using. But basically I was able to build it up a little bit with my fingertips, and it says to gently press it in that way afterwards anyways. Now you'll see that I go in with some concealer to kind of help lighten it up, and I really used it in places I would normally use it anyways, except I wouldn't usually wear a concealer this much lighter than me at this time, but using this lighter concealer helped to brighten up the tone a little bit. I didn't have to put concealer like on the areas that I would contour and bronze anyway, so I just kind of use it almost like as a reverse contour to help lighten, but then that way we can still get a good feel for how the foundation's performing, not just the concealer or anything. So I feel like I got a really good feel for this. This is what that combo is looking like. You'll see my skin looks really glowy. It actually looks really nice. I would say my one little complaint about that is the pore area. I just feel like it could look so much smoother, but when I used my pore blurring primer on this, it just didn't look good, and it was separaty. So I don't know what the solution to that would be. I could try different pore filling primers, but I feel like they're all kind of based with that silicone, and from what I was reading about the ingredients is it's not silicone friendly. So I don't know. And also, I mean, its claim is that it's silicone free. So I don't know if you're buying it because it's silicone free. So that would defeat the purpose. So back to applying this, I felt like there was a little bit of tackiness still on my skin, and I don't like to have any kind of feeling left on my skin. So I did set this with the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder because it's more of a glowy, hydrating type of powder. And I just used a minimal amount just to really lightly set it to not take away so much. And this is the finished look, and then you can see the side by side and how that is all looking. I think that it's pretty nice. I'm just not sold on it, and it's just not looking the best around my mouth. There are some foundations that I try that just do this weird thing where I don't usually have smile lines, but it makes me look like I have more smile lines. And this is one that does that. It does look glowy in some areas, which is nice. And I would say it's like a true medium coverage because I still see some discoloration coming through. If you watch my videos, you know that I usually cover up my discoloration on my cheeks before foundation, but I didn't do that for this one because I wanted to see how much coverage you get. So I definitely think it's a medium coverage. I have some freckles and some redness here and there. Another thing that I don't like is that the nose just looks kind of spotty, which I don't usually have that problem anymore these days, maybe because of the primers that I use, and because I wasn't able to use a primer today, I don't ever notice issues with foundation on my nose. This one, it's gonna rub off. Like there's no way it's gonna last. And also around my cheeks, there is this, it's like a dotting. It's like this weird dotting situation where, I mean, you're only gonna notice it if you're really up close, but I don't really like that. So yeah, I mean, to sum up, in summation, I feel just meh about this foundation. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing, no groundbreaking opinions here. I don't think it's a terrible foundation, but I'm not sold on it either. I don't think it's a great foundation. I definitely feel like my skin has looked better. And for $39, I want it to look really good. You can get really good foundations out there. One of my favorites is around that same price point, the Tarte Amazonian Clay. And I feel like it has a similar vibe, but it just looks way better on my skin, obviously. So I think that there's some alternatives out there. Because yeah, I just feel like my skin kind of looks dull, even though it's weird that it looks glowy right now, but dull. You know, that's hard to do. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about it exactly. I'm getting this like texturizing around my mouth that I don't love, and it's just meh. Now, in case you're curious on wear time of this foundation, obviously the first time I used this, where I was talking about it got all separating and weird, it didn't last very long at all. About an hour, and then it was looking really messy. Second time I wore this, I just continued to look really dry, ashy, and powdery throughout the day. That never got better. It just remained the same. So I guess that's good. It's consistent at least. So I'll show you what this looks like after 8 hours. Obviously it's what I'm wearing right now, so you can see how that is all looking. Okay, so it's been about 9 hours for this wear test, and you will see right away that have a lot rubbing off, you know, on my nose as predicted, but also around my mouth and even my chin, which is kind of odd. I wasn't like sitting like that or anything. So that is kind of weird, but I wish you could see, I think maybe you can see it now. See how it has like this spotted pore area situation? That's been there the whole time. So it's only more emphasized now, and then a little bit of texturing like around my mouth. So not not the best wear time. Still, like, from far away, doesn't look the worst. But again, that price, 35 bucks, could probably do a little bit better. You know? That being said, this was the best way so far. So no primers. Using that specific brush, I feel like this is the best result I've gotten so far, and I'm still not 100% sold on it. So that kind of says everything that I need to say about that. I don't think you need to rush out and buy it right away, especially considering the shade range is kind of weird. If there's a hygienic way that they're able to give out samples right now to try out different shades, try that first if you still want to try it, because yeah, lots of complaints about the shade range. Kind of a bummer. But that is it. That is my thoughts and opinions on this foundation so far. I hope that this video is helpful for you in deciding whether you want to try out this foundation or not. Before you click away to another video, please make sure you are subscribed and your bell is tapped if you want to see more videos from me. That way I don't get lost in the YouTube sauce, because I have an Elf foundation review coming up, because they just launched a new CC cream, and I'm gonna start trying that one out now that I'm done with this one, and that video will be posted early next week. I'm shooting for next Monday, so you'll see that ASAP, and that is it for me. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!